This is Newswire Los Angeles, your host, Attorney Jamie Wright. We are here for the final debate between ADA Alan Jackson and Chief Deputy District Attorney Jackie Lacey for the November 2012 election for the Los Angeles County District Attorney. So stay tuned for some interesting information that you're going to learn from our candidates, and please make sure to watch.
Our moderator will be Gene Madhouse. Mr. Madhouse is a reporter who has reported extensively on crime and politics for 12 years. He was formerly a reporter for the Pasadena Star News and the Daily Breeze, and he's presently employed by the LA Weekly and has been working in that capacity for the past 2 years. Both of our candidates have distinguished themselves as career prosecutors. We expect that in this forum, the candidates' answers to the questions the moderator will put to them will reveal both the commonalities and the differences between them. Having campaigned for the position of District Attorney of Los Angeles County for more than a year, in fact, I think it's pretty close to a year and a half, and having narrowed the field from 6 candidates to just these 2, clearly, each remaining candidate knows the opponent's viewpoints on the various topics that will be discussed. This meeting tonight gives DDAs and other constituents the opportunity to gauge their respective positions on subjects of concern to the DAs and the staff who will be their employees, as well as the general public.
And so it is with the District Attorney's Office in leading that office. It is the largest office in the nation. There are 2,100 employees. We have our own police force. And as Chief Deputy, I am in charge of doing the day-to-day operations. But before I got into management, I had a career in this office. I've been a filing deputy, a calendar deputy. I've been in special units. I tried 60 felony jury trials. 11 of those were murder cases, 1 death penalty case. I've tried a case in which 3 children were kidnapped off our street and molested and got a sentence of 122 years. I have touched almost every section of this office. I have been in code enforcement. I've been in hate crimes. I have been in career criminal. And now I'm the Chief Deputy of the largest local prosecutor's office in the nation. What I want this group to know is that I am the only candidate who is endorsed by labor. I have the endorsement of the Los Angeles Police Protective League, of ALADS, of POPA, of the Long Beach Police Officers Association, the LA Airport Police, the Fraternal Order of Police, the California Narcotics Officers Association, and the LA County Chiefs of Police, as well as the California Police Chiefs. And I am seeking to get the endorsement of you, my colleagues, because I care what you think. This is a very important race in the sense that we have a tremendous responsibility to deal with realignment, which is the shift of prisoners from the county to the state. And because she says I am done, I want to say, please vote for me, and I'm here to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alan Jackson. I want to thank the sponsors of tonight's debate, as well as Gene. Thanks for coming, and Ms. Lacey, it's always nice to see you again. I want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about three things that I think are specifically attendant to this race and who you should choose for this race. What do we want to do? Why do we want to do it? And how are we going to get it done? In other words, what is my vision? What's my experience? And what is my modern leadership that's going to allow me to get these things done? From a vision standpoint, there are at least 4 points of priority that I want to set for my administration. The Public Integrity Division. I want to spend some time focusing on and specifically expanding the Public Integrity Division, both from an investigative side and a prosecutorial side. I want to control violent crime through gang crime. I was telling, as a matter of fact, Ms. Lacey in a group we were addressing last night that I had breakfast with Chief Beck earlier in the week before he broke his shoulder, and he said he agrees with me 100%. If you can control gang crime in Los Angeles County, you're going a long way toward controlling violent crime. I want to modernize the district attorney's office by expanding and focusing on high-tech crime and cyber crime. Crimes like bank fraud and ID theft, child pornography, those kinds of sexual predators who use the computers to perpetrate their crimes. And finally, the fourth point of priority is to stop crime before it starts. As the largest prosecution agency in the country, we all know that we're not going to handcuff or prosecute our way out of the crime problem. It's never going to happen. I think it's incumbent upon us to reach out to the community, to leaders in the community, to try to provide options and alternatives for kids who otherwise might not have them. Let's keep kids out of crime to begin with. Why do I want to do it? Where does my experience come in? A lot's changed in the last 20 years in criminal justice, and certainly in the DA's office, and I understand what it takes to win and seek justice inside the four walls of a criminal courtroom throughout Los Angeles County. I've been in the front lines, on the front lines, prosecuting cases for the better part of 2 decades. I understand issues ranging from familial DNA that didn't exist 20 years ago to forensic science. As a matter of fact, anecdotally, one of the last cases I tried had more than 24 forensic scientists on both sides of the ledger, on both sides of the courtroom. Unheard of 20 years ago. It's this kind of practical approach, it's this kind of frontline approach that gives me the vision to take this office into the future, to move and guide this office with your help, with the rest of the deputies' help, into the future. And how I'm going to do it, it's through modern leadership. Modern leadership. I've been a leader in this office not just for years, but for decades. It's that kind of leadership, and since I am done as well, I'll wrap it up. It's that kind of leadership, I believe, that will take us into the future, and that's why I want your support. That's why I want your vote. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you.
All right. First question, again, 2 minutes each for a response to the questions. Let's address this one first to Alan Jackson. DA's office spends a fair amount of time prosecuting people for driving without licenses. What is your position on whether illegal immigrants should be allowed to have driver's licenses?
My position is that we are in the job to follow the law. That means we're not policymakers. We don't create the law. We don't enact the law. We follow the law. It is, I believe, an abuse of our authority, an abuse of our power for us to start weighing in and wading in on issues that are not enforcement specifically related, Gene. With regard to licenses for undocumented immigrants, if it is the law in California that they can drive, then so be it. If it's not the law, if the people of the state of California do not enact such a law, then it will not be legal and we'll enforce it as such. But I don't believe as the district attorney that it's incumbent upon us, and it would be incumbent upon me as the DA to weigh in and start determining what the law should be or could be. Once the law is determined, we'll enforce it.
Jackie Lacey.
Yes, I join a lot of law enforcement leaders like Chief Beck in supporting licenses for undocumented workers. Excuse me, I think that that is a safety issue, and I also think that it's the safest way to protect our citizens on the road. I think the district attorney does have a role in leading on this area. Citizens do not necessarily know what the law should be, and I think it's squarely within our duty as the district attorney to state our opinion on this. And my opinion is that I want everybody on the road to be licensed, to be tested, and to be safe.
Just a 1-minute follow-up, and this is for Jackie Lacey. Would you change anything about the way the DA's office currently prosecutes that offense?
No, I think that the way that the law is prosecuted is fine. I think that perhaps the sentencing should be looked at a bit, but I do support the way that we prosecute it as is the best way to enforce it.
And Alan Jackson.
The problem with licenses for undocumented individuals, I think has been addressed. The problems have been addressed in other states and other jurisdictions. They tried it in New Mexico, they've tried it in Washington, D.C., they've tried it in Utah. And in each situation where it's been tried, it has basically failed. The governor of New Mexico is currently attempting to repeal the law that they have for licenses because it is a safety issue. And I agree with Ms. Lacey that when it becomes incumbent upon or when it burdens the community with regard to safety, then we should weigh in. And it has not been shown as a model to work anywhere else yet. If it could be tailored so it could work here and not invite cartel activity, which has been cited in New Mexico and in Washington, then so be it, that's fine. But if it represents a clear and present danger to the safety of the community, then I would not support such a law.
While both candidates seem to bring a very large amount of experience to this office, one of the things that has been very important in this race thus far is that Jackie Lacey has definitely honed in on the fact that she is the manager, she is the administrator. She has been in the office for 26 years, and she has been in management for 12 years, making her the true candidate and the true person that should be a prosecutor. As she has indicated to us, a prosecutor is someone who manages. They are not someone who goes into a courtroom. On the flip side of that, ADA Alan Jackson has indicated to us that he is the person that is the true prosecutor in this race, having 18 years of experience prosecuting and being in a courtroom. I think that is one of the very interesting points that the two use to distinguish themselves, one being manager, the other one being true prosecutor.
Would you be shocked if one or more inmates on death row is innocent? And what is your overall position on Prop 34?
I'd be absolutely shocked if anybody on death row were innocent, given how we prosecute death penalty cases now. The last death penalty case I prosecuted, I don't have to kind of harken back to the archives to think about it. The last person that I just prosecuted for a capital offense was just over a year ago, James Fayed. During the course of this campaign, as a matter of fact, I took a couple of months off and finished a responsibility that I had and prosecuted James Fayed for capital murder. The jury did fix the punishment at death, and he is now going through his process of appeals. That's where the system is broken. I couldn't disagree with Mr. Garcetti enough that I think making a knee-jerk statement like that, well, I wouldn't be shocked if some of the people on death row are innocent. My question would be, are these people that were prosecuted under your guidance when you were the DA? How can you so vigorously say that? I think that's being used, unfortunately, as a soundbite. It's red meat, as it were. There are checks and balances and redundancies and reviews, and they go on and on and on. We were talking last night about the fact that one of the death penalty cases that I secured a death verdict on was back in 2004, and I have just received the 12th request for extension of time for the opening brief. The opening brief hasn't been filed yet. That is a broken system. I then talked to a justice on the appellate bench and asked him, what do you think about the idea of removing the Supreme Court from the automatic appeal process and putting it down at the appeals court level? And he couldn't have smiled more broadly. He said that's exactly what needs to happen. There's a 5-year backlog at the Supreme Court level. That's one way that we could streamline the system. It would save millions and millions and millions of dollars, and actually we might be able to fix the broken appellate system, and these death penalty verdicts will actually mean something.
I want to thank you for coming out, and I want to thank the ADDA for putting on this debate. It's going to be the last time. This is it. And you have the ability to influence the voters in your life. If you're like me, right about 2 weeks before the election, everybody calls you, says, what judge do I vote for? What proposition do I vote for? But my guess is in 6 weeks, they will call and say, what candidate do I vote for? So in deciding this race, I want you to think about the following. You know, being in the management ranks for me has been harder than almost any challenge I've ever had. The hours are long. It's a 24/7. I often say if I'm going to write a book about it, I'm going to call it the kitchen of your favorite restaurant. Because in your favorite restaurant, everything is calm, it's served right, it's delivered on time. But in the kitchen, there are fights. There's one cook fighting with another cook. There's yelling, there's screaming. Fires are jumping out of the pan. And you need a leader who's able to handle all of that, who's able to multitask, who's able to look beyond one case, who's able to have the vision, have the temperament to handle that, the calmness, the judgment. And that's what I bring to the table. I have a tremendous amount of experience, but I also have a tremendous amount of trial experience and temperament, and I am endorsed by many of the labor groups that you all are affiliated with. Your benefits will be very important in terms of what happens in LA County, what happens in your future. And I'm asking for you to support me as District Attorney of LA County. I am ready to work with you and help LA County remain safe. Thank you.
I can't thank you all enough for coming tonight. It shows that you are actually very interested in what happens, not just in the District Attorney's office, but in your communities. And I pose it to you this way. Ask yourself, just ask yourself, who do you want to protect your families? Who do you want to protect your neighborhoods? Who do you want to protect your communities? I'm an 18-year veteran of the District Attorney's office, a frontline prosecutor. I've been honored I have the honor to have been named Prosecutor of the Year by this organization. I've been recognized not just throughout the state, but throughout the country for innovative ideas that I've had about how to modernize current prosecutions, how to modernize trial tactics. And I've trained a huge percentage of the deputies who currently populate the courtrooms throughout this county. I'm backed by dozens of police agencies, almost 30, and representing more than several thousand rank and file police officers. I'm backed by victims' rights advocates, groups and organizations not just covering the county, but covering the state and covering the country. And I'm proud to have a coalition of bipartisan support, ranging from Mike Antonovich and Supervisor Don Knabe, to Mayor Richard Reardon, to Mayor Manuel Lozano and Bob Archuleta, to Senator Richard Polanco. And it's that bipartisan support, I think, that shows